Brazil and Formula One have created many historic moments on the track and with their drivers. Brazilian and fans from around the world also know that Brazil has produced some of the world's top Formula One drivers, but not to mention the circuit. While many people are familiar with the circuit at Jacarepaguá, which held F1 and MotoGP, few remember the previous version, the Autódromo Nova Caledonia, which was located on the same location. This circuit has modern facilities for its time, built on reclaimed marshland in 1965 and inaugurated in 1967 with winding infield road course inside an oval-shaped outer circuit. The new circuit, designed by Arton Lolo Cornelsen, which replaced a street circuit in the neighborhood that had been in use since the 1950s and had become more dangerous. Originally, the circuit was supposed to be the centerpiece of tourist complex with hotels, sport facilities, and even casino. Meanwhile, in Sao Paulo, the Interlagos track had a bad reputation because of terrible safety issue and changing demographics in the area surrounding the circuit. So, Formula One was looking for a new home for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Rio de Janeiro stepped up. The local authorities chose to construct a racing circuit near the airport, so the previous Autódromo Nova Caledonia closed in 1970. The new Jacarepaguá Circuit was constructed between 1971 and 1977 on Barra da Tijuca road course. However, political instability intervened and the project became stalled. But it didn't last long. The circuit was finally inaugurated in January 1978, just a few weeks before the 1978 Brazilian Grand Prix. The circuit was relatively flat, with a longer pit straight and multiple mid to slow speed corners, with plenty of room for overtaking. The circuit hosted its first Brazilian Grand Prix in 1978 and was won by Argentinian Carlos Reutemann with his Ferrari. Formula One left the 7.8-kilometer Interlagos circuit because of rising safety issue about the circuit and the neighboring slum in 1980. So in 1981, F1 made a long-term switch to Jacarepaguá. The 1981 Brazilian Grand Prix was held in very wet condition, and Reutemann won again, but this time in a Williams and under controversial circumstances. He ignored the team's order to move aside and let his teammate Alan Jones go ahead. The 1982 Brazilian Grand Prix race conducted at the Hague of Reciprocal War was shrouded in controversy. Home favorite Nelson Piquet and Finnish driver Keke Rosberg both were disqualified for being underweight, so Alan Prost took the win after finishing in third. However, the disqualification led the majority of FOCA-aligned teams, including Brabham, Williams, McLaren, and Lotus, to boycott the 1982 San Marino Grand Prix 2 race later. But unlike the 1980 Spanish Grand Prix, in which the FISA-aligned factory teams of Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, and Renault boycotted the race and the results were eventually voided, the 1982 San Marino Grand Prix were still counted towards the World Championship, even though the majority of FOCA-aligned teams boycotted the race. In 1987, after Nelson Piquet won his third World Championship title, the local residents celebrated by naming the Jacarepaguá Circuit after him. In 1989, French driver Philippe Strive had severe accident while testing at this circuit, and the circuit safety was called into question. Jacarepaguá Circuit hosted its last Formula One event in 1989. Meanwhile, Sao Paulo mayor renovated the Interlagos to attract Formula One once again. So, in 1990, the Brazilian Grand Prix was relocated to Interlagos. In 1996, the circuit was reconfigured as an oval and began hosting a round of the Kart IndyCar Championship. The circuit hosted a new major international event, Rio de Janeiro Motorcycle Grand Prix from 1995 to 2004. Italian Luca Cadalora won the first motorcycle Grand Prix at this circuit on his Yamaha. Legendary rider Valentino Rossi won the most races, winning 4 from 2000 to 2003. But the popularity of this circuit is starting to decline. As of early 2005, there were plans to partially demolish this racecourse to make space for a new sports complex to host the 2007 Pan American Games. Though there were rumors that the race would be cancelled, the top Brazilian stock car series resumed racing in Jacarepaguá in 2006 and was contested on a short circuit combining section of the oval and normal circuit. However, in January 2008, the local government announced that the circuit will be demolished for the construction of the Olympic Training Center venue for the 2016 Summer Olympic in Rio. The track and surrounding motorsport facilities were eventually demolished in November 2012 to make way for other new facilities. The replacement facility that was supposed to be built on a former military base in the Deodoro neighborhood has not yet materialized. The demolition of this legendary circuit left a void that motorsport fans deeply mourn, and it marked the end of more than 40 years of the history of Jacarepaguá Circuit, with little in the way of sentiment shown for preserving any part of its legacy.